different approach based on physiotherapy. And I really liked what I heard, and I got very excited about it. So I called and made an appointment. Alaina spent, what was it, an hour and a half assessing me and figuring out things and starting me out on the road. And I'm happy to say a month later, I feel completely different. My leg numbness is gone. The back feels better. Typically after I deliver pack up meals for y'all and stand out there for so long, I have to sit partway through. I'm in pain. I have to get in the car and turn on the seat heater and try and fix myself. That didn't happen this morning. I had a little bit of pain and I realized I wasn't standing quite right. I fixed that. The pain went away. She works from a very different perspective, and I can't tell you how excited I am by it. It's the first hope I've had in a long time that my life would be different than I was afraid it was going to be. I have permission from Doris and Norm to share a little bit of their story. Found out from Doris she had vertigo, and the only treatment that her doctor mentioned was seasickness pills. And I said, oh no, you can have physical therapy for that, and this is who you need to go to. And so she wondered if it might help Norm's back, and I said absolutely. So they both went and have been very pleased. So I am thrilled to introduce you to Alaina. Professional, friendly, and it's physical therapy that has made a difference in how my body works for itself. So I'm turning it over to you, dear.
Hey, Sophia, you're going to make me cry today.
Okay. Is your place there on near Cedar Bluff across the post office?
Yes, just a couple blocks down from the post office.
Okay. My husband was there about 10 years ago. I think you either had a pool there. Didn't you have some kind of pool?
Yes.
We do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful.
He went
You'll
to
have to
that.
ask Mary Sophia what she thinks of our pool.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I'm going to do one more thing. I think that's going to help. I actually just found a little computer line that I can plug straight into the wall, and I think it'll help things be more clear.
Okay. Well, it's looking better than it did. So, Norm, how are you feeling?
Pretty well.
Good.
Just the arthritis in the fingers, which that's going to be a forever thing until the lights go out.
But he's walking so much better. Oh my goodness.
Good.
Yeah.
I don't think we've gotten a hold of your hands yet.
No, you're still working on his
will.
back. But
One thing at a time. Well, sometimes we smush them, but all right. Are you able to see me okay?
yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hello, owls. It's great to see you all here. Like she said, my name is Alaina Marino. I'm the owner of Marino Physiotherapy right here on Cross Park Drive. We, as Ms. Wood had noted, we are just right down the street from the post office, so we're pretty easy to get in and out of, plenty of parking. We're in a 6,000 square foot space. So as far as COVID goes, we're actually able to spread people out to maybe 1 or 2 people per gym. So it helps us to keep the spacing there. I will let you all know that as we move into Thanksgiving, you may be aware that Knoxville's not doing a great job in the COVID situation. So I encourage you to please be careful through the holidays. I'm anticipating that we're probably going to have another kind of bump in those cases coming out of everyone traveling and coming together for Thanksgiving. So everything you can do to be protecting yourself, I definitely encourage you to be doing that. Now, what we're going to be doing today is going over, normally this is a talk I give over about 2 hours. So we're going to do a super short version of talking about some strategies to help you do something called aging in place or aging with independence. And I've been doing this since 2005. And on the whole, when I talk to people and I say, hey, how do you envision your later years? I don't have people tell me, hey, I'm really keen on that nursing home place. Most people tell me they want to do what they want to do on their own terms when they want to do it in their own house and then go peacefully in their sleep one day. So we're going to go over some strategies to help you make that a reality because as we know, wishing just doesn't make it happen. We've got to have a strategy in place. So I will encourage you all to get the most out of this. I would encourage you to get a pen and paper and take some notes. I know that Mary Sophia is going to be recording this, and I'll have some resources available for you all. I put up a quick website for you so you can get straight to the information again if you need it, and I'll coordinate with Mary Sophia about getting the video put up on there if that helps. So first of all, you're already on track. You've made it to the workshop. So that's the first step. I would encourage you to take notes. And there's also something called a chat box. So in the chat box, as we go along, at the bottom of your Zoom session screen, you should see that little box that looks like a little bubble and it says chat underneath it. If you click on the chat box, you can actually see there's an arrow. Actually, Mary Sophia, did you just see a big gray box pop up in your screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the chat box. So I'm going to move that out of the way. But I'll try to keep pulling that back and forth and keeping an eye on it. But if you have questions along the way, and Mary Sophia will help let me know when there's people poking up in the chat box, please take advantage of the chat box. So what I would encourage you to do now is go ahead, open that chat box, write in your name, and what you think that either for yourself or other people that might limit you from living your best life independently as you age. We'll give you just a moment. Again, there's a chat box. You'll see me popping in a little note. Hi, everyone. So we'll be using this chat box quite a bit as we move along. All right. Mary Sophia is on the roller coaster of moving up in great function, so she's not as worried. All right, falling, that's falling in balance. We're going to be going over quite a bit with falling in balance, Crystal. Good. All right, and I'll keep an eye on that back and forth as we can. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So our plan for today, we're going to go over what it looks like if you don't protect your independence. Then we're going to be talking about, we're going to cover the better B's of aging in place. And it's just a little way for us to kind of remember, here are the things we need to work on. I'm going to go over some resources for you that will be available after the presentation as well. Look at what an action plan for protecting your independence looks like. And we'll also have some time for answering questions. And I actually have some help for, they're not going to need me right at 1 o'clock, so I'll have more time to stick around and answer questions for anything that you all, if you all have questions, I'm happy to stick around and answer those. So I want you to ask yourself, how do you envision your later years in life? Do you think that this is going to be you? Yeah, hang out with your friends, doing the fun stuff that you love. Or do you think of this woman? I mean, it's something to think about. Does the person on the right look like they're very happy right now?
Oh,
No, not really. No one comes to me and says, Alaina, I really want to just be confined to a wheelchair and just be stuck there and not have any choice over where I can go and when I go to the bathroom, that sort of thing. So we're going to go over some strategies for looking at being more in the group on the left, where you're staying active, being able to stay engaged with your friends and community and family, and doing those things that you enjoy. So this is a kind of interesting take on how we look at an aging population and how we take care of our older family members and ourselves. And there's an article that came out a while back that said, hey, you know, things might not be great in a nursing home. Why don't we just put grandma in prison? Here's the difference. In prison, grandma gets a shower every day. There's always video surveillance in case of any problems. There's always someone watching. You get 3 square meals a day. You have access to library, television, computers, the gym. There's doctors on site. Healthcare is included. You get free medication if you're needing it. Sounds great, right? Except for the prison part. Versus when we look at what a typical day is for someone who's confined to a nursing home, one of the things that how many of you have ever been into a nursing home to visit someone? Hopefully not recently, especially, I know with COVID, they tend to, you're not able to really see what all, they don't have you in there visiting. Let me pull this up real quick. Okay, I've lost my people to see there. I'm trying to see you in the little screen chat there. So I want you to think about, when you went into a nursing home to see somebody, did it seem like everyone was really happy to be there? Did it smell good?
Hardly.
Things to be thinking about. A lot of times you're at in a nursing home, you're at the mercy of someone coming to do things for you. So if you end up needing to go to the bathroom and you hit that call light, how long does it take for someone to get to you? And how many of you, when you need to go, can wait another 5 to 20 minutes before having an accident? These are things to think about. They tend to bring you dinner around 4:30 to 5:30, and then they say, okay, it's 7 o'clock, time to go to bed. So if you're counting on wild nightlife in the nursing home, probably not going to be happening there. They look at about 2 showers a week. Sometimes these are just bed wipe downs. Sometimes these are actually going to the shower. You are in a smaller room with the average wait time, depending on where you are, to get assistance, whether that's you want to get out of bed or you need to go to the bathroom. You're looking at 3 to 25 minutes for someone to come to assist you when you hit that button. Now, this is, to me, one of the biggest things, is you're basically told what you're allowed to do and when. I mean, does anyone want to have to wait around for someone else to allow them to do the things they want to do? Not really. Now, I know that this paints a pretty grim picture that we would even consider like, oh, it's probably you're going to do better in prison than in a nursing home. This doesn't mean that all nursing homes are bad. If you've been in a nursing home or if you've worked in one, you know, these are people who care about their patients and they are doing the best they can with the staff that they have. So if you look at one person having to take care of about 4 to 5 people, that person's running ragged trying to get everyone what they need, from medications to bathroom breaks to getting dressed to being able to get your meals when you need to. Just the bare necessities are a lot of work for that person that's there. So we want to look at, the more you can live life on your own terms, it can help you avoid this situation. And you get to pay for it if you go to a nursing home. So you're looking around $7,000 a month. That was in 2018. As things, you know, things aren't getting less expensive. So those are things to think about as well. So what we're going to do is start going over some strategies. Like, how can I live my life the way I want to live it and do what I want to do? Well, we're going to go over the better B's of success in independent aging. And what we look at for that, we look at better balance, better breathing, better bones, a better bladder, better bites, meaning what you're eating and your nutrition, having a better butt. Now, people laugh at me about this one, but there's a point behind it. We're going to cover each of these. Also, having a better brain and a better boogie. You know, we had to have something fun at the end there. So let's talk about better balance. Now, how many of you, if you'll pop in the chat box, I know there's got to be a way to bring you all back again. I was able to see everyone's video for a moment there.
Can you not see them?
Hide
Oh,
video.
are you on speaker view? Or are you on full screen?
Here we go. I found you again.
Okay.
There you all are. Okay. So how many of you have had a fall in the past? You can raise your hand if you're on the videos. Yeah, I see a few people raising their hands through there. How many of you know somebody who's had a fall and experienced something called a long lie? Okay. What that means is when you have a fall and you don't have the capability to get to a phone or to get up, and you're basically stuck laying there, for however long it takes for somebody to notice that, hey, this person didn't show up to church on Sunday. Well, what if you fell on Thursday? Like, what are your strategies in place to, one, avoid the fall to begin with, but looking at how are you going to get out of that situation? How are you going to call for help? Those types of things to think about. So when we look at balance issues, it may be one thing to feel like you need like some support, but those are big waving red flags to say, hey, there's a situation here. Because falls can lead you down the path of not being independent very quickly. Everything from, even if you have a small fall, if you're falling, you're at risk for head injuries, broken bones. People who have a fall are very likely to have another one within the next 12 months. So that's why we ask people, have you had a fall in the last year? So those are some things to be thinking about. And a lot of people will do this, okay? I don't know if you can see me. They're like, I'm standing on one foot. Hey, look, I have balance. Well, in the real world, or just being able to stand without falling over, that's not good balance. You've got to be able to step to the side, step backwards. Think about when you open a heavy door. You've got to open the door and step back in order to enter the doorway. So when we look at these things, it's not just the holding still balance. You've got to be able to do those things that are functional in your day-to-day life. Excuse me. Still some water. I hope you all have some water and are drinking water. So normally we spend quite a bit of time going over this, but again, this is our short and sweet version. So a quick test that you can do for yourself is have someone time you, all right? If you have a little timer and what you're gonna do is you're gonna stand up, you're gonna walk 10 feet away, turn around, come back and sit down. So the person who's timing you will say, okay, all right, Mary Sophia, go. And you'll stand up, walk 10 feet, turn around, come back. And we know just based on how long it takes you, if it takes you more than 10 seconds to do that, you're at an increased risk of falls. If it takes you more than 20 seconds to do that, you're probably not someone who's very safe walking on your own. So if you're wondering, hey, how's my balance? This is a good way to, if you're able to comfortably stand up, walk 10 feet, turn around, come back, sit down and not be wobbly, not need a cane or a walker, then this gives you a good idea of where you are on that scale. I'd like for you to have these quick tests so that you can be checking yourselves. For those of you who are married, check each other out. If you're like, hey, Norm, we need to speed you up a little bit, then we can look at those things. So not to pick on you, Norm, but since I already know you, and Mary, I say the names of the people I've already met before. All right, so our next better B of success is breathing. And most people think about breathing as, well, whoopity-doo, Alaina, I'm breathing already. What's the big deal? Well, when we look at breathing, there's a point to breathing. We want to get the oxygen in, and we want to get the waste products such as carbon dioxide out. And you're supposed to have a balance between how much oxygen and carbon dioxide are in your blood system. So if you find yourself breathing like this, those little bitty short breaths, and you're not getting the air into your lungs to where it can stay there, then there's going to be a problem because you're not getting enough in or fully cycling through to get everything out. And we see this in people who have bad posture. So I want you to try something for me. All right, here's our quick trick for the day. I want everyone to slouch. Okay, show me your awful slouch. And while you're slouching, take a deep breath in. Is that easy or hard?
Hard.
It's kind of hard. Now come up with some better posture and take a deep breath in. Now imagine that you ended up with some pneumonia. You got a little germ that got down in your lungs and it's festering down in there. Do you think that you're going to do a better job of like kind of coughing that up, getting the gunk out if you're down here with a little cough versus up here where you can really get things moving? So when people tell me bad posture won't kill me, guess what? I see it happen in hospitals all the time. And what do you see when someone's in the hospital? The nurse says, oh, I really want to help them. Let's take the head of the bed and lift it up. So they're like in a lazy boy chair and put pillows behind them. Then guess what? Then that patient's all squashed up and they can't get that good oxygen exchange. So these are things to be thinking about. Now, people laugh at me about this, but I'm like, your nose has a purpose, all right? The point of your nose, if you breathe in through your nose, like you're smelling the flowers, it circulates the air around your nostrils on the inside and it makes it moist and warm and clean. So it cleans out all the gunk. So the air that gets into your lung is clean air. Instead of, the point of being able to breathe through your mouth is if you're running away from a tiger. I don't know anyone. Well, okay, we're in Knoxville. We did have the one tiger sighting. But for the most part, what we look at for breathing through your mouth is this. Like if you're just trying to get the air in, if you're running away from something chasing you, we don't care if the air's clean. You just need to get it in and out. But for when we're resting and doing our daily things, we should be breathing in through the nose. And if you think you can breathe out through your nose, or if you breathe out through the mouth, not like this, then all the air's gone. If you breathe in through the nose and out through your mouth like you're blowing out through a straw, that actually keeps a little bit of the air in your lungs longer. So for those of you who have COPD, asthma, or breathing problems, that helps the lungs stay fully inflated and really get the job done, as opposed to the air's already gone by the time you've already blown it out before you're actually able to really use it. So those are some things to be thinking about there. Now, our next better B of success is better bones. So when we think about bones, especially as we age, we think of something called osteoporosis and fractures. So I want you to think about this. When we look at someone who's had a fracture, usually this is associated with a fall. 20% of people with a hip fracture will not be here to grace us with their presence a year later. That's 1 in 5. So think about that. Does anyone here want to sign up for a 1 in 5 risk of death in the next year? I don't usually have people sign up for that. When someone has a hip fracture, 1/3 of those people, of the people who survived that fracture, 1/3 of those people will be in a nursing home for at least a year. Okay? And over 80% of those people who have the hip fractures, they don't often notice, they don't connect that maybe the fracture was associated with their bones not being quite as strong as they need to be because of something called osteoporosis. Now, the risk of, if you have one fracture, your risk of another fracture nearly doubles that you'll have another fracture after the first one. And the unfortunate part of this is most of these fractures are preventable by working on your balance and working on having better bones. So when we talk about better bones, we think about osteoporosis. Now, osteoporosis is where you have, your bones are not solid like a, if you think about a brick, it's not a solid brick, especially those cinder blocks. The inside of it's kind of hollowed out, but there's cross frames in there to make sure things stay strong. Well, in your bones, you have a lattice network of bone that helps give your bones the strength and support. If you start losing some of that lattice framework, your bones can start to collapse, or they become what's called, we think of them brittle. Now, this doesn't mean that if you sneeze, then your bones are just going to shatter. But what it does mean is that if you're, as you're putting force through the bones, if they don't have enough strength and if they're not stable and strong enough to hold you up, they will start to collapse on themselves. So a lot of times when we think of this, we tend to think of an older female with light complexion. Those are going to be the patients who are most likely to have this issue. If you think of someone who's more solid and stocky and weighs more, they're going to be less likely to have this issue. But in the United States, our diets are not generally getting healthier and better, and we're starting to see people with osteoporosis that fall outside of what you tend to think of. So making sure you're consulting with your physician about the strength of your bones as you age during your yearly checkups is going to be very important. And here's something to think about. Almost 60% of people who have postmenopausal osteoporosis, so of course that's women, but almost 60% of them that we know are out there have never been told that they have osteoporosis. let alone been told about options for things to do about it. So again, it's very important when you're talking to your healthcare provider that you are including this information. So we look at about 10% of the population and 43.9% of older adults, meaning if you've got a Medicare card, or if you've joined a group called the Owls, you probably qualify in this category, that you may be at risk for osteoporosis. So getting a DEXA scan or a bone scan will help you to know where you stand on that spectrum and what are the things you need to do to be getting better. Now, when we look at how to get better bones, we kind of look at it like building a brick wall. So we want a strong brick wall, just like we want strong bones. In your body, the bricks of your bone building, those are going to be the calcium, okay? Calcium is where you bricks for building up the bone. The mortar, we've got to have that vitamin D to help the calcium stick in the bone and do what it's supposed to do. Now, if you have a lot of mortar and you have a lot of bricks, but you don't have anyone telling you where to put them, it's not really going to help you. You're just going to end up with urine that has a lot of calcium in it. What we need to do is we need to tell your body where to put the bricks. And the way that you do that is by loading force through the bones. The way you do this is with walking, with doing things where you have weight on you. Some of you might have seen those weighted vests. If you ever want to stop by our clinic, I have one here. You can try it out. We put a little weight on the vest, and that puts compression through the spine in a good way with your walking. Tell your body, hey, let's put all that, these bones are taking extra force. Let's put more of that calcium and vitamin D to good use and strengthen these bones up. A lot of times people will take supplements and they will get the shots. You might remember the Sally Field doing the little Boniva commercial. When we look at those as an option for helping you with your osteoporosis, what I've found is if you're not telling your body where to put the calcium, those other things aren't making as positive of a change as we would like. So making sure that you're getting outside, vitamin D that you make is better than the vitamin D that you absorb. You don't absorb vitamin D that well. That's why you have to take such large dosages of it. So these are some things for you to be thinking about as far as your bone health. Now, another thing that we want to look at here is if you have poor balance and weak bones, you want to look at things in your environment you affect to help you prevent those fractures and limit your falls. So this is a blueprint. By the way, I'm going to have all of this for you afterwards, so you can take notes on this. But I give this out to a lot of my patients. And what I suggest that you do is you and either your spouse or a friend or a loved one go through your home and go through this blueprint and see, are there things that are going on in my house that could put me at risk for falls or fractures? Everything from looking at where the rugs are, checking how your stairway is well lit. If you have a slippery surface, if you tend to walk in socks, it's probably not a good idea to walk down wooden or slippery stairs versus if you have carpet on your stairs. There's all of these different things to think about, and this roadmap is a great way to do that. Also on there, there's some information for outside of your home. Be looking at what are the places you could potentially have a fall. And again, doing this by yourself is not the same as doing it with someone. I usually encourage you to get someone who does not live with you because they can come in. I don't know if you've ever been into a house where someone has a lot of cats and they don't know it smells like cats. Guess what? You get used to your own home. Someone else coming in with the fresh.
Alaina, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're losing your volume, where you're freezing in the camera, and this is blurry.
This is blurry. Okay, let me try resetting. Can you see me okay?
I can, but your words aren't synced up to your mouth. Oh, hello.
How about now?
That's better.
Okay.
But we couldn't see that falls risk sheet. It was
Okay.
all blurry.
I'm actually going to have that for you, just because sometimes it's hard to see on these presentations. I went ahead and on our website, I made a section just for you all so that all of these will be available for you to actually print out and do with your family.
Wonderful.
And I also have this presentation posted on there as well. So if you want to go back and look at any of the things I've talked about, you'll have access to that.
Wonderful. And I'm going to work with our people to hopefully get this on with a link or something.
I can help you with that
on
too.
On our webpage. So
That won't be too hard. Mary Sophia, I'll help you with that.
okay.
Okay, let's go on to the next section. And
Yeah, can't see that at all.
Prevention.
okay, can you see this part?
Very blurry. Can't read it.
Plan.
I mean, I can see if you fail to plan, you plan to fall, but
Let me,
it's still very blurry. And I don't know if it's something with our system or with yours. Usually your stuff is pretty clear.
let me check. All right, network access. So I'm hardlined in. Okay, how's this part?
There we go.
Okay.
So that's better. Thank
Sometimes we just have to pause and start over again.
you. Okay.
All right. So you've heard this saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. In this case, I tell people, if you fail to plan, you plan to fall. So I want you thinking about, I want you to visualize, if I were going to walk from where I am now to the closest bathroom, what are the places I could potentially fall? If I were to fall, what would I do about it? And the nice thing is we have great technology nowadays that can help with this. And if you're not comfortable with technology, I'll say ask a family member to help you out. But we have where someone might have had a fall before and the only option was, how many of you seen those little bracelets or the necklace that have the help I've fallen and I can't get up button? We have other options now where you can use like an Amazon Echo or a Google Home device or even an Apple Watch where you can tap on your watch and say, call my daughter and reach out to someone. Now, some of these devices do not work with 911, but for most of these issues, if someone's having an issue, they want to be able to call a family member. So if you're someone who keeps your cell phone like in your pocket at all times, then you can use your cell phone to call for help. If you are somewhere where you might not have your cell phone on you, such as in the bathroom taking a shower, sometimes having one of these devices that will listen and you can, when you say, okay, Google, call mom. Okay, Google, call Janice. Okay, Google, call who you can have, it'll call through your phone to call for help. So those are some things that are options for helping you around your house. I do encourage you, plan for that worst case scenario in a fall department, especially if you live alone. Have a neighbor on speed dial and let them know, I'm going to be practicing calling you today so we can make sure this works. These are great things to be practicing with. And if you have questions on that, I'm happy to answer them. This is our, Mary Sophia, I know you're kind of probably laughing at me right now. This is a disco potty. And yes, I found this at JCPenney last week. One of my other patients, we talked about this. I was like, that's a great idea. So I'm going to play this little video and you can see what
The
happens.
light that I have.
Oh, does it want to play? Okay, I was on my recording these so that you could, so that you can see this. Tell you what, I'm just going to hold this up and show you.
I have one of those, Alaina.
It's really neat because it's just this little piece right here. All right. And so what happens, I'm totally going to put us in the.
We just lost you. We're not getting any feed from you, Alaina.
Okay, Doris, what does it do?
It's a night light. That,
And
yeah.
what happens is when it's well lit, you don't see anything. But if the lights are off, and then it's motion detected. I
Yeah.
turn lights back on.
Yeah.
And it turns right back off again. But it doesn't do anything until I'm moving and it checks motion.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm in a dark enough space for it to do that.
It's
There it goes.
So
I don't like to have to turn a light on when I go into the bathroom at night, but that little night light is just marvelous.
yes, it lights up the toilet and it looks like you have a glow in the dark toilet water.
Yeah.
And it sounds kind of funny, but I'll tell you, not only, even if you don't want to use it in the toilet, I would suggest put it on the floor near your bed. It turns off after 2 minutes. If it doesn't sense motion for 2 minutes, it turns off. But if you walk by it, it turns on and lights up your path a little bit. So this is one, I spent $10 on this because I saw it and I thought of Mary Sophia, and I was talking about these, and another one of my patients mentioning it. But it's a small thing, but being able to see where you're going, and especially when you're a little groggy at night, that's the time when most people will have a fall, is when they're kind of just waking up. But guess what? No one thinks, okay, I'm going to practice my fall prevention. They think, I have got to pee, I've got to pee now, and I'm getting to that bathroom. So anything you can do to make things automatic and safe, it's just a little, you can find them online. This one is called a disco potty. They have a whole bunch of different, if you just look up toilet light, I mean, I think you can find them for $5 or $6 and they will mail you one. So great little device that I never would have thought of, and one of my patients showed me that. All right.
They also have wall outlets now that have motion sensing lights that come out from the bottom when you walk by. And all you have to do is screw it in place. So lots of different options for those of you who have to get up at night.
So definitely something to be thinking about there. Now, let's scoot on, share the screen. I'm trying to share my screen with you. All right. So we talked about our, I was so proud of myself last night. I was like turning this on, figuring out how it worked. And my husband was like, are you trying to SOS, turn the lights on and off? I'm like, no, I'm learning how to use a toilet light. And he just rolled his eyes and kept walking.
I'm sure he did.
Okay, I've got a pop quiz for you. And if you can't read that, that's okay. I'm going to read it to you.
Good.
First question, and you can answer this in the chat box if you like, or you can answer it to yourself. But I need to improve my, what do you need? Balance, bones, breathing, or all of the above?
All of the above.
All of the above.
Yeah.
Our next question, bones get stronger with jumping, walking, resting, or eating potato chips?
Probably A.
It's A, definitely. People tend to think that because I'm getting older, I shouldn't be jumping and doing dynamic things. A body in motion will stay that way. Now, if you're not comfortable with that, don't just go off and go bungee jumping, hopping down the street. But it's okay. Our body can take these loads. We just have to train it to take those loads. Finally, my house can be safer with improving my balance, removing throw rugs, improving lighting, or all of the above.
All of the above.
All the above.
Exactly.
And I will be the first to say, I've been in quite a few of the homes of our owls and have rolled up my fair share of throw rugs and put them behind doors.
Yeah. And you know what? People feel like, oh, that throw rug, but it gives me, a lot of people feel like it makes it safer, but the reality is it ends up creating more of a problem. All right, next, better bladder. And the rest of these we'll go through kind of quickly, but a better bladder. And people look at me and they're like, a bladder? Guess what? We know that as we get older, the incidence of incontinence goes up quite a bit. And we have to think of the consequences of that, not just from an emotional independence standpoint. If you know that you're only going to make it so far before your bladder has completely emptied all over yourself, are you really excited to go out and join groups of people doing things? You know, it kind of limits you socially. It can be embarrassing. You might be worried about the odor or having leakage. There's a lot of things that there's some secondary things behind not having great bladder control. And we know that one of the highest risk factors for going into nursing home care is incontinence. Because like the people helping take care of you just can't keep up with keeping things dry and clean. And a lot of times people get embarrassed about this if they're bedbound and they don't want to tell anybody, but then they're sitting in wet and that puts you at risk for infections, skin breakdown, and a whole slew of other issues. So I don't know anyone who tells me, hey, Alaina, as I get older and maybe I'm on a Social Security income of only $1,300 to $1,500 a month, I want to spend $900 a year on poise pads. No one says that to me. So there are things you can do about this. There's actually a whole branch of physical therapy that works on this. I do some of this for more complicated cases or people who also have pelvic pain or fecal incontinence. We actually have two of the best people in the Southeast, literally working like a mile from where I'm sitting right now. If you have questions on that, I'm happy to help you with it. But those are things, a lot of times, I will say, no one wants to talk about this. It happens in men and women, and it's so easily treatable. Usually, I see people getting great results in about 3 weeks of just practicing the things they need to work on. And I'll give you a clue. It's not just Kegel exercises. They used to say, well, practice squeezing more. That doesn't necessarily get it. You also have to look at the hips and the lower back and how they work together there. So something to be mindful of. If you start noticing when you cough or sneeze that, oops, you're getting some leakage. If you notice that you stand up and walk and you start dribbling a little bit, those are issues that you can manage. You don't have to live with that. So I like to let people, no one likes to talk about this, but guess what? We're gonna, because it's important. All right, the next B of success there, what we look at is better bites. Now, I will tell you, malnutrition is a big thing that we see in people as they age. And it's not that they're not getting food, it's that they're not getting nutritious food. So I want you to be thinking about when you're looking at what you eat each day, one, are you getting enough? And two, are you getting actual nutrients? I hate to burst bubble, and I love a Big Mac or a Whopper as much as anybody, but is it really nutritious? So be thinking about it. When you buy things at the grocery store, can you pronounce all the ingredients on it? Guess what? If I pick up a head of lettuce, I can pronounce that. It's okay for me to be eating. If I pick up a box of mac and cheese, maltodextrin, and like, no, those are not words I typically pronounce. It's not going to be the most nutritious for me. So it doesn't mean you can't enjoy good things that taste good, that you enjoy, but I do want you to be thinking about that, because if you don't have good nutrition, then your body is going to start breaking down. And when you start breaking down and we say, well, let's do some exercise or let's do these stretches, none of them really matter if you're not getting the nutrition for your body to actually heal those issues. Also, don't forget to be drinking water. If you want to know how much water to be drinking each day, it's either 8 cups of water a day, 64 ounces, or let's say you weigh 150 pounds. If you weigh 150 pounds, at a minimum, you should be drinking 75 ounces of water a day. If you weigh 200 pounds, you should be drinking at least 100 ounces of water a day. So if you divide your weight in 2, that's the number of ounces, whichever is more, either 64 ounces or half of your weight. So that's something else to remember there. Isn't this so cute? Yay, it's a little baby butt. The next thing, when people ask me like, hey, Alaina, what's the secret to, if I really want to live well as I age, what's the secret? And you know what I tell them? A perky butt. And people roll their eyes. I'm like, I don't care how your pants fit. Because I have people come to me all the time. And they're like, Alaina, where did my husband's butt go? I turned around one day and it just fell right off. And this isn't because it just fell off, I promise. It's because you're not using it as much. And the reason this happens is, let me switch out of this so you can see me, is this is how people start getting up from a chair. And tell me if you recognize this. They do this.
What? That's not right?
All right. They stop doing this. They stop squatting. So think of it this way. When you get up from a chair, I want you to look up, like at a clock on the wall as you stand up, and then look. It's like I'm doing a squat. So every time I stand up and sit down, I can either hurt my back and neck and knees and do it like an old person, or I can look up as I stand up and look up as I sit down. And it essentially looks like I'm doing a squat there.
That one move, that making myself look up, has changed me dramatically.
Yeah, it's a small thing, but
Very small, but very
remember
easy.
your head weighs about as much as a small bowling ball. So if you're getting up by flinging a bowling ball forward and trying to haul it back up again, well, that's, how many of you have seen someone go to sit down and it looked like if the chair wasn't there, they would have slammed back because they've been plopping or falling into a chair instead of lowering to it? These are the precursors. When someone, when I'm helping out the hospital, they'll come get me and they'll say, hey, Alaina, Miss So-and-so in room 108 is about to leave the hospital. Where do we send her? Do we send her home? Do we send her to the skilled care, the nursing home? Hi, Sam. Where do we send her? And I'll come in and I'll say, okay, hey, Miss Smith, let's go for a walk. And if Miss Smith says, okay, where are we going? Then I know that Miss Smith is probably okay. If Miss Smith is doing this, give me your hand to help me up. She's probably not going to be safe at home. She can't get up from the chair in time to even make it to the bathroom. And then what are the chances she's going to wet herself and then slip on it and fall down? And these are things that we don't typically like to think about, but it's the reality. So we've got to look at, are you safe? And one of the biggest keys in deciding if someone goes home versus going to a skilled care or rehab center is their ability to stand up and sit down with good form. So great thing to be practicing. All right, next thing on our list, we're going to share real quick. All right. This doesn't want to keep up with where I am on my page.
Yeah, I know.
All right. So we talked about having a better butt. Yes, I'm sorry. I forgot to tell you, Mary Sophia, we were going to show an actual butt in your presentation.
That is so cute.
All right. So I tell people how to tell if someone's going to end up going home versus needing skilled care. I call it the toilet test. If you can't stand up and down from a toilet, you got a problem and you need to work on it. So next time you're getting up from the toilet, see, can you stand up without holding on to something? It's not an official test. I made it up. But guess what? I call it the toilet test. Your ability to stand up and sit down from a toilet without falling or needing to use your arms is a huge indicator on how independent and safe you are at home. Now, where do I get one? I thought I was saying, where do you get a toilet? Where do you get a better butt? You practice looking up to stand up every time you stand up and sit down. Can you see me okay?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I got a little internet notification. So, all right. So looking up as you stand up, looking up as you sit down. And here's the next key. Sitting is not good for you. You need to stand up at least once every 15 minutes. And it's been more than 15 minutes. We should all stand up. So give that a try. Scoot up to the edge of your seat. Get your feet back on your bottom. And look up as you stand up. And then when you go to sit down, stick your booty out the back and slowly sit back down. Now I'm on a rolling stool, so please be careful. Make sure you've got a chair behind you. All right. Next. Finally, we've got a better brain. All right. It's pretty unfortunate if you spend all this time working on your body, but your brain just kind of goes by the wayside. You have to work out your brain the same as you'd work out your body. It's also unfortunate for people who work out their brain, but they let their body go. And it's very sad when you see somebody who's cognitively with it and sharp and doing great, but their body is painful and unable to perform for them. So you don't want to outlive your body and you don't want to outlive your brain. You need to plan on living until you're 115 years old. That way you can enjoy your life until the end of it, as opposed to just going downhill over several years in an uncomfortable fashion. I know that's kind of hard to talk about and hard to hear, but it's the reality. And you all know people who you've seen them at church where one day they're upright and then they just start getting shorter until they're in the ground. So it's better for you to take care of the body so that it can perform the way you want it as long as you want it to. And the cool thing is, even as you get older, your body will respond to training to do what you want it to do. I'm not a weightlifter or anything super extravagant, but training your body to do the things you want to do in everyday life is going to be key in living the life that you want as you age. So when we talk about a better brain, being positive, being mindful of if you're thinking depressive versus positive thoughts, actually there's some interesting science behind how a positive mindset helps with development and maintaining that. Your Purkinje fibers, they're the little slips of brain tissue that go between your cerebellum, the thinking part of your brain, and I'm sorry, the cerebrum is the thinking part of your brain. The cerebellum is that little balance coordination center. So your balance and coordination is not just for your ability to not fall over when you're walking in the grass, but what happens is the same area of your brain that coordinates coordination, it also helps work on things like problem solving and coordinated thoughts as well. So a lot of times what we'll do, if someone's working on managing dementia, we'll put them on one of those little balance balls or on a balance board while they're reading something or doing a crossword puzzle. Or if I have someone who's struggling with their balance, I'll add a crossword puzzle or a little brain game for them to be working on while they're doing a balance activity. And that actually gets a double dose. So if you like to read the newspaper in the morning, you can actually get one of those little Dyna discs. It looks like a pancake full of air. You can actually sit on it and it kind of makes you a little wobbly. So if you want a way to challenge your brain, they've got lots of those brain games out there, but get your body moving with it, or just a little wobble or something for your stability with it, and you actually get a lot more out of that. So our last pop quiz, I need to improve my bladder, my bites, my brain, or my butt.
Yes.
All of the above.
Any or all of them are fine. Next, a common reason for nursing home placement. Is it incontinence, good balance, crossword puzzles, strong hips and legs?
Incontinence.
Incontinence. Those other things are ways to stay out of the nursing home. And finally, what direction do you look when you stand up?
Up.
Exactly. So if you want to give yourself a pop quiz and read this later, I do have the answers on there when you download the presentation. All right. Now, finally, better boogie. All right, I'm going to show you. I love this little woman here. I'm not sure if this is going to play or not. Okay. I don't think it wants to play today. This is a little video, and I'll tell you, sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. But this little woman, she is just moving and shaking it and just having the best time. I guess she's not going to be dancing for us today. I just checked this an hour before you all got on here. Any activity that gets you moving and smiling is great for you. You don't have to do exactly the same thing as everyone else. Find an activity that you enjoy doing that gets you moving, because a body in motion will stay in motion. So whether that's dancing around in your kitchen or walking to the mailbox or going out to see your grandson's baseball game, anything you can be doing to be moving will help you stay moving. So a couple of resources that can help you out. The first thing is be educated, be informed, make sure that you're advocating for yourself, because a lot of this information, I have a lot of people come to me and say they've not heard of some of these things before. Everything we've gone over today should be knowledge. So feel free to share this information to anyone that you like. Make sure that you are getting your regular appointments with your physician, or if you need a physical therapist, guess what? We're right over here on Cedar Bluff. We're happy to help. We actually have a different stance on physical therapy than a lot of places. We don't say, okay, you've done 3 weeks and now you're done. We actually have people, we follow up with people at 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, and a year when they're done with therapy. We have some people who just come in for well checks for their body. I mean, think of it this way. You go to your dentist every 6 months just for your teeth. What about the rest of your body? So we have a lot of people who will come to see us for those checks, where we go through and look at how you're moving, and we talk about, here are the problems that you should probably fix now instead of letting them continue to get worse or put you at increased risk of falls or fractures. A lot of the information about osteoporosis I got from a group called OsteoLink. They're a great website to check out for more resources about how to be stronger with your bones. And finally, it's okay to use Google. Just Google, how do I decrease my fall risk? You'll get videos, you'll get instructional manuals. There's all sorts of things there. If you've had a fall in the last year, if you don't feel safe walking to feet and back and sitting down safely and comfortably in less than 10 seconds, those are some key things that you should probably be giving us a call so we can show you how to fix those problems. So what does that look like? How do you make an action plan? Do a fall risk walk through your home. Print out that little form. I'm going to show you where to find that. And make sure that you are safe in your own home. Make sure your environment is safe. Do an inventory of your better Bs. Again, balance, breathing, bones, bites. I think I left out bladder in this one because we just added bladder in the last few months. Make sure that
had bladder in this.
I'm sorry?
You had bladder in this one.
Yes, I forgot to put, this is supposed to be 8 better Bs, not 7.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, you found my typo. Also, talk to your doctor. If you have an issue with bone density, it might not be a bad idea to meet with a nutritionist or dietitian and an endocrinologist to make sure that your lab values are where they're supposed to be. And then you would give someone like me a call to look at what is a good dosage for you, for your walking, for your loading. Do you need a weighted vest? How do you manage your osteoporosis there? Now, I will tell you, for those of you who do want some of that information, it's covered by insurance. Just give us a call and we're happy to set that up for you. Now, since most of you are able to actually talk, if you want to put a question in the chat box, I'm happy to answer them there. Or if you just want to pipe up any questions that you might have, let me...
Alaina, were
Yes?
you going to share the my posture maps?
I would, but our printer was offline for the last 2 days, and we're still trying to get it fixed.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. What I'm
so-
talking about, when I came in, they did a map of my posture.
Hold on
I
one
was
second. Let me see if I can
horrified.
grab them real quick.
Yeah, I was horrified. It was horrible. After all those years of my mother telling me to stand up straight. Anyway,
I'll show you what this looks like.
and she did one, they did one recently, and it was much improved.
This is a posture map, okay? And what happens is we actually trace your posture on this machine, and we get these little points. And if you see this guy, it's my husband. This shows, like, this is a normal spine that's kind of upright. This one is leaning forward. And we actually have a machine that you kind of lean back into, and it helps you train to fix. A lot of times when people try to fix their posture, if they're like this, they try to pull their head back, or they do this. They just kind of lean back instead of fixing those issues and getting your head centered above your body. So that is that's kind of a cool thing that we help a lot of people with there. What other questions do you have?
I was worrying about calcium because I'm lactose intolerant.
Okay.
So where do I get my calcium?
There is, I'm on the wrong computer. When I do the long version of this, we actually spend some time talking about calcium in your diet. One of the easiest ways is to Google non-dairy calcium. What can I include to my diet for non-dairy calcium sources? And things like leafy green vegetables, spinach, kale, those are great things for that. Sometimes the doctors will put you on supplements for your calcium. Getting the calcium into your diet is ideal. There are things like sardines are good sources of calcium there as well. There's
Dried
a lot of
figs?
different. I'm sorry?
Dried figs?
I don't know how dried figs are in the calcium world. I'll tell you, my background is not as a nutritionist. It's more of as a physical therapist. I have some of these resources. That OsteoLink resource will be a good one for you. Also, let me show you, Mary Sophia, and this will be something that'll help you out in a bit too. Let me just share my screen.
I did want to say they've really improved almond milk in the last few years, and most of them are fortified with calcium, so that's an option.
It tastes horrible.
No, not anymore. Not anymore.
Okay.
It's quite good.
How does
As a
that
matter
make
of fact,
yogurt, almond yogurt? That's not bad.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to try this one more time, share my screen. Okay, I'm going to show you a quick little thing. If you Google Marino Physiotherapy, it's pretty easy to get to our website, which is marinophysio.com. And if I put -OWL for owl, that's you all, I went ahead and put a quick little page together so that you can download any of the things that we've talked about. So,
Oh, that's great.
so here is the, we actually have a video library of things for aging with independence. It's a little bit longer talk. It's an older one. It's not as up to date as the new one we're about to put out this in probably February. This has our PowerPoint presentation, the one that we did with you all today. Here is the fall prevention blueprint, and you just click on it and it'll open it up on your screen or it'll download it. Now, if you found this to be worth your investment for hanging out with me today, we would appreciate if you go on Google and leave us a review. This is how other people find us and decide if they want to, a 5-star review. My husband's over here, a 5-star review. This is how other people look us up and find out if this is something that they want us to help them with, or if they want to do one of our workshops to see, was it good information? So if that's something you have a moment and want to leave us a review, that's at the bottom there as well. And what I'll do is get together with Mary Sophia and see if we can't put today's video on here as well so that you can look that up. But again, it's just marinophysio.com/owl for our older, wiser Lutherans.
There you go.
And let's pull this
Other
back.
questions?
All right. So I know that was kind of a shove everything in. That was about 3 hours of content squished into about 40 minutes, 5 minutes there. I really appreciate getting to visit with you all today. If you do have any questions, again, Marino Physiotherapy. Well, there's someone in there right now I'd show you. We have our new Balance and Gait Center up. We offer aquatic therapy. Our specialty area is in helping things move better and feel better. So if it's between your hair and your toenails and it doesn't move well, for people to give a call to there. All right. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alaina.
Well, it was
Really
great to see you all.
appreciate
And Mary Sophia, I will catch up with you. Do you want me to go ahead and show you how to handle the recording?
it. Pardon?
Want me to stick around and show you how to do the recording?
Actually, I have to go because I
Okay.
left somebody out of our meals this morning and I have to go pick those up and deliver. So,
All right.
okay.
I will stop the recording and then we'll catch up on that later.
That sounds
Y'all have a
great.
great afternoon.
And
Thank you. Thank you.
Ian, please.